Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you all. So it's time once again to talk about what's been happening this week in Master Duel. I like to do this once a week to check in and make sure that we're all aware of the latest happenings within Master Duel. Got a lot to talk about this time as we've had a couple of new packs debut this Tuesday. Normally I don't do this week in Master Duel and pack openings in the same week, but I usually do this week in Master Duel on Thursday, which recently is when the updates were coming out, but now it's on a Tuesday, so we'll go ahead and talk about it. We also have some tournament results to look at post-pack, so we do have a little bit of information in that regard to look forward to. There's also quite a bit of interesting info regarding this season's latest Duelist Cup that I'd like to cover as well. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump straight into it. Let's start by going up here to our notifications tab. And yeah, as you can see, 12/5, just actually yesterday, well, a day and a half ago, really, at the time I'm recording this, there was quite a bit of new stuff. And again, we're going to talk about this latest Duelist Cup update here very shortly as well. So, new accessories were added. We got some fun holiday-themed stuff. I was really hoping we would, actually, after the Leela Treat kind of Halloween-themed costume there. I was wondering if we are going to get the Kiss-a-Keel Frost sleeve as well, and we did, which is cool. I'm also a huge fan of this new icon border. It's so much better than the last one they did last holiday season. Got a fun limited edition wallpaper in a gift exchange. You know what? I actually haven't picked that up yet. And it's limited edition, and I am a sucker for FOMO. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just grab that right now. Plus, it's festive. You know, it's like, why not? So yeah, the fun gift exchange wallpaper, I'll go ahead and put it up so you can see it a little bit better. The card gift exchange, of course, having the same art depicting this young little goblin getting getting a Scrap Kong shirt for the holidays. That's good, that's good. I like it a lot. Okay, let's keep looking at these notifications here. So, we had those new accessories added. In addition to the selection pack we're all expecting beginning of the next journey, we actually got a couple of other ones. You know what? And actually, to talk about these, I'm going to go back into the shop because I want to highlight, like, honestly, just how good I think these new selection packs are. Let's start by taking a look at Mighty Contenders here. This is the quote-unquote reprint pack, right? This is the pack that's going to have Mathmex, Zodiacs, and the Dragon Rulers, which, if you don't have any of these archetypes and you're interested in even one of them, I do think that this pack is actually not a bad deal to pick up at all. Particularly if we look at the cards that are included in this pack, like the EURs, for example. We got both iterations of Shurig here. I think this is supposed to be a reference to the fact that we had a data mine leak. Actually, we can talk about that here shortly as well. We had a data mine leak that showed off the Shurig mate as our newest transforming, what is it they call them? Deluxe mates. There we go. So I imagine this is in here as a reference to that. But also, the Zodiacs, of course, do pair well with the Tri-Brigades as well. So at the same time, it also makes sense to include both of these in the same pack. I've had people ask me if I'm going to pick up Tri-Brigade Zodiac again, which I would not be opposed to because that's historically my first favorite Master Duel deck. It's really the first deck I really started getting competitive into, but I might wait a little bit just to try to get some more craft materials for like the Zodiac Barrages and additional Tridents in particular. I might end up pulling from this pack if I save some gems, but maybe not as well because I'm really mostly looking for the Zodiac stuff, but I wouldn't mind, I suppose, picking up Dragon Rulers as well, but I don't really have any plans for them. But if you're also interested in Mathmex, this pack comes with Circular and Alimbertion, which are, of course, two very important URs for the archetype. Also has Final Sigma, which you can optionally play, but a lot of builds don't, and especially nowadays. It's like really, really hard to find the extra X space for it. But and on top of that, we have Kurikara, Divine Carnate, and Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries as just generally good UR kind of staple-ish cards. Now, granted, they're not played in like the most amount of decks, especially the Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, right? You either have to be targeting a mirror match or have a white enough extract that you can slot some popular cards just for her. But the Kurikara is definitely more widely used and is overall a pretty solid card. I mean, the Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries is also a useful card, just not in as many decks as like the Kurikara. But I mean, then also looking at the supers here, like we got a lot of generic good staple stuff, like Splash Mage, we got some of the Tri-Brigades, we got some more Mathmex stuff, DD Crow, Gamma, Some of the Math Mech stuff, the Zodiacs, evenly matched is here. Small World is here. Sacred Sword of the Seven Stars. This card's actually kind of mid, but it's not awful. Ice Dragon's Prison is here. All in all, if you're a newer player to Master Duel, and again, you're interested in even one of these archetypes, I think this pack is not a bad buy at all. It's really cool to see. This reminds me a lot of the first selection pack we ever had in Master Duel, where, of course, when the game debuted, there weren't any new releases because the whole game was new. So they kind of made this pack where there was just a bunch of generically good, like, staple-ish cards, and yeah, it seems we have that here again. So this is cool. I would be interested to see if they do more packs like this at some point in the future. The other new selection pack is the one that's going to have new cards in it, which is Beginning of the Next Journey. Now, obviously, this is the one that we did the pack openings for, so if you are interested in checking out that pack opening video to see what all I opened, you can go ahead and do so. I posted it just a couple of days ago. Pulled quite a few Royals, actually, but if you look at the cards included in this pack in terms of URs, this is actually one of the better selection packs we've had in recent history, as in the way of, like, you know, having a bunch of really good, like, playable cards. Now, granted, if you're not interested in, like, Monadium or Despia, then this pack might not have as many URs for you as it might for other people, but for me, as someone who generally likes to keep up with meta decks as a whole in Master Duel, right, this was a very, very nice pack. Because if you look at the URs, right, Dissipator is cracked. This card is good in literally anything that can make it, which the requirement of non-tuner dragons with Chaos Roar being legal means a lot of Synchro decks in general can make it. We got the Lulu Lilith, which is good for some amount of synchroing, but mostly for branded. The Monadium Prime Heart. Granted, Monadium does not always play this card, but if you happen to pull a copy of it, you can still slot it in the Monadium extra deck, and it's still fine. Gate Guardians combined is, like, arguably the worst, not even arguably, it probably is just, like, the worst UR here, but again, if you're like me and are generally looking to just build new decks, like, when the new selection pack comes out, this being the worst UR is still not even that bad, because, like, you know, when I pulled a copy, because I did pull a copy of this, I was like, I wasn't even upset. I was like, okay, cool, now I have an excuse to try out a Gate Guardian deck, which is, like, not going to be the most competitively viable, but will definitely be fun. So this being the worst UR in the entire pack is definitely not that bad at all. Yeah, Albion, obviously if you're into Despia at all, this is a good pickup. Vicious Astrolaud, if you're into not just Monadium, but kind of Vysis decks as a whole. Any deck that plays Vysis probably wants this card, right? So we got Vysis himself, which, you know, it's pretty easy for people who are interested in Monadium to not have this card just yet, because it was released quite a while ago. So yeah, it's cool to see it here again. Quem is new and very good. Rimheart is very good, a 3-of in Monadium. Ringo Worm, this card is maybe alongside Gate Guardians if you're not looking for a specific use for it, like I was for Sprite Synchro. One of the quote-unquote worst pulls, but this is still good in just about any Synchro deck that can make use of, like, level 2 tuners, right? So this card, while it doesn't necessarily have a specific home, is still just generally a very good card. Nadir's Servant's been historically a pretty good card. Calarium's another 3-of you'll need for Monadium. And the Trivikarma is also a pretty decent card for tier limit. This maybe alongside Ringo Worm and Gate Guardians combined could be considered, like, 3 of the more meh URs, but, like, if you're considering a card like Ringo Worm or Trivikarma to be a meh UR in a pack, it's a pretty good pack overall. And yeah, I definitely think that was the case for this one here. You know, we harp on Konami a lot, but I think it's also good to acknowledge when they do something right. And these two selection packs are pretty good value overall. Now, one thing that is a little bit less than stellar about Monadium is just how expensive the deck is. And you might be thinking, oh, well, they have 2 URs that are 1-ofs, or 3-ofs, right? And the one that you don't necessarily play. Isn't that fine? Like, is that not that many URs? Well, you gotta remember that you need the Vyses as well as a bunch of Scareclaw URs, like Reichheart, Lightheart, and the Reichphobia field spell. You need the Perlorino and Ratesoth field spells as well, are generally played in the deck. So Monadium as a whole is a very expensive deck. But I will say, if you want to play that deck, as well as, you know, Albaz's deck, and if you have a passing interest in Gate Guardian, then there's literally no UR that's bad to pull from here. Again, maybe I'm talking more from my own personal experience, but as somebody who wants to play a wide variety of decks, there was not a bad UR for me to pull from this pack. So, yeah, overall, I think that these two selection packs were both pretty good. I am fairly satisfied with them, honestly, as a result. Got this notice of a version update for Steam users. That's just really all that's here, at least from what I read of it. Oh, no, this will be a mandatory update coming in January, not the one we most recently had, so... Okay, I wonder if that'll be another kind of major update. Didn't we see, wasn't it around January this year that we saw that huge update to Master Duel? Remember when the title screen used to be white for a little bit, and there was like those memes of like people getting blinded by it? I wonder if this is going to be another update like that. It's cool to see quality of life, like user interface updates like that, continuing to come in for Master Duel. I think that's pretty rad. Okay, here's one of the major things I wanted to talk about regarding the latest Duelist Cup, about team formation related to season points. Let's see what this is all about. I'm going to start by reading it verbatim, and then we'll kind of talk about it. Here's some information about how to form teams and important points to note. Regarding teams, team bonuses are accrued after you create a team. Create a team before that month's Duelist Cup or World Championship qualifier ends to earn bonuses for that current month and the following months. Team bonuses are added to the team season point total. Check the team information banner for the breakdown. Even if you form a team after these events have ended, you will not obtain any bonuses for any prior events. See, as a team bonus for the 2024 season, you'll obtain 100 season points for every Duelist Cup or World Championship qualifier event joined after forming a team. When a team is disbanded, any team bonuses earned up to that point will be lost. In this Duelist Cup, teams can only be formed until December 17th, 22 hours and 59 minutes, letting you obtain season points as a team bonus. Please be aware that if you have not formed a team by this time, the Duelist Cup ends on December 17th at 22 hours and 59 minutes. You will not be able to obtain a team bonus in this Duelist Cup. How to form teams. Members of a team will join the area that the leader of the team selected when forming a team. Please note that the area cannot be changed later. Also, when forming a team, the area selected for the regional qualifiers and the World Championship qualifiers cannot be changed. Please note that you cannot participate in the World Championship if the area you selected when forming a team is different to your place of residence. For leaders, how to create a team. The leader starts by creating a team. To create a team, select the season points button on the lower right of this notice, right here, or go to the season points on top right menu of Duel menu via Duel on the home screen. Select create team from manage team on the right side of the season points screen and enter the player ID of those you want to form a team with. Once the team is created, the team ID will be displayed at the top of the manage team screen. You can also copy your team ID from the lower right of the admin menu. Finishing forming your team by letting your personal teammates know your team ID and have them register to join your team. Number 2, for team members, how to join a team. You can join a team after the leader has created one. To join a team, select the season points button in the lower right of this notice, or go to season points in the top right notice of the Duel menu via Duel on the home screen. Select join team from manage team on the right side of the season points screen, and enter the team ID of the team you want to join. Teams are formed when all members have finished registering. How to disband a team. I'm not going to go into this one. This is just kind of like if you decide you don't want to do a team. So what is this team thing all about? You might not be necessarily aware, because actually this notice doesn't really do that good of a job of really describing what it's all about, is it? You're going to have to have read a previous notice, which will be somewhere down here, but I'll just TLDR it for you. One of the previous notices indicated that one of the ways that in which people can qualify for the World Championships for this next year is going to be as a team. We kind of saw that team format within the World Championships themselves as well, right? So, you know, you got to lock in with people who are living in the same area that you do, obviously, that being like, you know, North America, whatever, et cetera, all the different countries that can, slash regions that can qualify for the World Championships. You'll lock in for that, and then the idea is that whichever team has the highest point total by the time the World Championships come around is going to qualify for the World Championships. You can do this to qualify as a team. You can also still qualify individually in a Duelist Cup by getting first place in that Duelist Cup. And then also there's multiple slots in the World Championship qualifiers that'll be closer to when Worlds is if they do it the same way as they did last year. So it's kind of cool to see a really formal and in-client process for, like, forming a team, right? And in that regard, it's actually pretty cool to see something like this here. I just wish we had more infrastructure like this for actual, like, tournaments, right? As opposed to only for the Duelist Cup. It's a little bit, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I won't lie to you. I'm really, not missions. I meant to go to notifications. I'm really not a fan, honestly, of the Duelist Cup method of qualifying in general. Because it rewards the people who are able to grind over a 72-hour period the longest and, like, the hardest. And especially for the Duelist Cups, where maybe I'm misremembering, but from what I remember, only the top-ranking #1 person of a Duelist Cup gets into Worlds. The World Championship Qualifiers is a separate event wherein multiple people per region can qualify if they do it the same as last year. But again, I'm pretty sure when it comes to Duelist Cups, it's like the #1 ranking person, maybe per region, but it might even just be per Duelist Cup, which, yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me, like, oh, are you going to grind out the Duelist Cup? And I'm sure I'm going to have people asking, like, oh, Lex, are you about to form a team and take on the World Championship? My honest answer is no, I don't really have plans for it, because I hate the idea of doing one of those 72-hour grinds. I value my mental health more than that, for what is, even if you are one of the top ranking contenders, still a very slim chance to actually qualify, especially, again, during a Duelist Cup. And, like, during the World Championship qualifiers, if multiple people per region can make it in, then I feel a lot more incentivized to actually make the grind. But for, like, a Duelist Cup where only the #1 person is going to get in, like, no, it's just, no, I'm good, thank you. I don't, like, I'm not going to knock anybody who wants to try for that, but, again, I personally value my mental health more than that. I just know I would come out the end of that, like, wanting to take a long break from Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't want that right now. Like, I enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I want to continue to enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So, I don't have any plans right now to subject myself to that. Plus, also, I really hate the Duelist Cup method of qualifying and Duelist Cups in general. I talked about this during our last ban list discussion, but I hate that Konami uses data from the Duelist Cup to determine what goes on the ban list, because Duelist Cup metas are different from regular ladder or even tournament meta, because it doesn't favor the best decks of the format. It favors the decks that can get you the most amount of wins within a 72-hour period, and then Konami ends up hitting decks that are represented in the Duelist Cup, but not in the wider format by large. Runic being a prime example of this. Runic and all of its variants, every single one of them, were rogue at best, but because Runic Stun performed well in the Duelist Cup, which it did because it's able to get wins very easily in that particular 72-hour format, where people will scoop to it very easily, they end up hitting the Fountain, which is, the funniest part is that Runic Stun was the only Runic variant represented within the Duelist Cup Top 100. Runic Stun, also the variant hit the least by Fountain going to 1. All of the more fun and, frankly, fair variants, like for Higher, Sprite, all these other Runic variants, Runic Plunder, are much, much more devastated by the loss of Fountain than Runic Stun. Stun decks don't care. Stun decks can play one Runic Fountain or just drop the Runic Engine altogether. If you cheered at the Runic Fountain limit, you're cheering at the wrong thing. You wanted Floodgates to go away. Fountain going to 1 does not solve your problems. But anyway, that's a whole other topic for another video, which I already made. So anyway, my grievances about the Duelist Cup aside, again, it is at the very least nice to see this kind of infrastructure be introduced to Master Duel. I just wish we could have competitive events within the game that are not just Duelist Cups. But let's go ahead and pop over here to Master Duel meta. There's not a whole lot we're going to actually be talking about here. I think there was actually the leak, right? Yeah, here we go. Okay. We got upcoming Duel Trials, Dragon type only loner decks. Oh god, is that going to be the next event after Duelist Cup is only Dragon types? That's not fun. God, what a shitty event. Anyway. Here's the deluxe mate for sure. I will be purchasing this immediately upon release. you all know how much I love Tri-Brigades, so. And then, yeah, cups and icons, Duelist Cup icons, rather, protectors and icons. Oh, Branded Fusion wallpaper is kind of neat, but... So yeah, as I touched upon earlier, we have had one tournament since the new pack released. That's going to be, of course, the Decade Meta Weekly. With 111 participants, it's not a bad-sized tournament, and we are seeing Branded Despia and Dragon Link come out in droves, which makes sense. Because the Dissipator release helps Dragon Link, and of course all of the, excuse me, branded cards, well, those help branded. We also saw a Monodium sneak in, a Zodiac sneak in, Vanquish Soul continuing to perform fairly well, and a lot of the more usual suspects here. So, first place was taken by a 60-card branded deck that is in fact using the Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. Now, this isn't something we've seen... before necessarily in Branded, the Gimmick Puppet Nightmare recently, but back when Branded Expulsion was a thing, people were more apt to try it. I will say this about Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. I am not a Branded player. Like, I'm not a, dedicated Branded player, so I can't say this with any certainty. However, from what I have heard people say, / seen in other formats, / if we think back to how the meta actually played out with Expulsion, I don't necessarily think that Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is even the right way to play Branded. Now, granted, I wasn't necessarily sad to see Expulsion go, because Expulsion and in turn Gimmick Puppet Nightmare create more non-games. But Hex, Runic Fountain created non-games too. No, it didn't. Floodgates did. You're complaining about Floodgates. Anyway. Sorry. Sometimes I make a statement in a video and I can just see the comment in the future. So I just wanted to address it. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. And again, I'm not a Branded player, so I am very open to the idea of being wrong. But I suspect that you'll see a lot of Gimmick Puppet Nightmares because Sanctifier just released. But in the future, just as with what happened with Expulsion, it'll die out and people will realize that it's not the best way to play Branded, even if it is the most annoying. So, but again, I could be wrong about that, and I'm very open to that idea as well. Looks like Vanquish Soul ended up taking second place here. Vanquish Soul with just kind of a regular Vanquish Soul deck. Vanquish Soul with Zodiacs, actually, at least some amount of a Zodiac engine here, ended up taking the top 4 slot alongside. Looks like this is more of a pure Zodiac deck. And this is kind of what I was thinking of playing Zodiacs like. Because I had people ask about Tri-Zoo. Again, I'd like to try that, but I feel like Zodiac's, pure Zodiac was already like decently close to being a bit of a thing, right? Just Zodiac's sitting on either Trident or Zeus with just like a bunch of good cards. And that strategy is kind of looks like what's happening here, right? The deck is really wide open. It can play a lot of variety of hand traps. It can also play the Kashiras as well, both Nightmare, or both Fenrir and Unicorn, which is nice. They're even playing a Theosis and a Rise Heart for a bit more of a Kashira package, but you could even just play, I think, like Fenrir, Unicorn, Rate South, and like one Birth. I think that would be fine too. So, Barely Awake with the Dragon Link, again, deck getting a pretty nice boost in power from just the existence of Bestial Dissipator. This card is actually just insanely cracked. It's so cool. It's so good. Oh, wow. Kashiras with the Fossil Dynas coming in at top 8 here. Got another Dragon Link list here. This one, 45 cards. Honda Power, that's a fun name for this player who's on a Dragoonity deck. Wow. I think, is this the same Dragoonity player we saw last time? I think we saw a Dragoonity deck relatively recently within the DK Meta Weekly. So that's cool if this player is in fact seeing some consistent success with Dragoonity in particular. I think this really goes to show, and this is something I highlight all the time when I do these tournament breakdowns, and it's something that MBT talked about in a recent video that those of you who watch my streams are probably like rolling your eyes, because I've talked about this MBT video a lot on streams, but for those of you who haven't heard me talk about this yet, highly recommend checking out MBT's video about what makes a good deck. I feel like Dragoonity is one of those decks where if you ask any given Yu-Gi-Oh player, they'd be like, oh, Dragoonity's not a good deck. And yet, we have Dragoonity pretty consistently in recent weeks topping these large Master Duel tournaments. It just goes to show, it's the same attitude of whenever I do a tier list. And in fact, I had a comment that was almost verbatim like this on my latest tier list. A comment of like, why are you covering the top 50 decks? Just do the top 10. There's no point in talking about so many decks. I wholeheartedly disagree with this sentiment. I cover 50 decks because I want to cover every single deck on the tier list that I think could reasonably either hit Master 1 or top a tournament. And I think there are more than 50 decks within Master Duel capable of doing this. I didn't talk about Dragoonity at all on that tier list, and yet here it is topping a tournament. So, I don't know. I just think a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players have way too narrow of a definition of what a good deck is. Which, again, I think MBT covered very, very well in his video. Highly recommend giving that a watch. Got Tier Cash here in top 16. One of the other Vanquish Soul lists on the Zodiac package. We got Manadium also on the Zodiac package, funnily enough, so that's kind of cool. Here's Labyrinth, doing fairly standard Labyrinth things. Another Despia list, this one also on the Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. Again, I think people are mostly on this right now because it's new. I would be surprised if over time this went away. Here's a Despia list without the Gimmick Puppet, showing you definitely do not need it to be experiencing success. And we got our Lone Pearly list here, followed up by another Dragon Lake deck. So that's going to cover pretty much everything I think I had in mind for this week in Master Duel. I'm sure a lot of you are asking, like, oh, because I've had a lot of people ask, like, are you going to cover Manadium? Are you going to cover the new Despia stuff? Are you going to cover Gate Guardians? I do have plans to cover all three of those decks. I just need a little bit more time, particularly with Manadium, to really learn it and get the deck down. But once I feel comfortable speaking about the deck from a at least somewhat authoritative position, we will definitely cover it in a deck profile, which is hopefully my current plan is to be tomorrow's video. So we'll see if that actually ends up panning out. But in any case, thanks everybody so much for watching. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching it all the way to the very end. That means a whole lot to me, and it's also a fantastic way to support the channel. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways besides YouTube, there are plenty of ways to do that. If you check out the description below, you'll find a bunch of links down there. One of them goes to my Patreon. You're actually seeing the names of everyone subscribed to the Patreon on the screen right now. So if you're interested in getting your name in the credits here at the end, if you want to see more daily Master Duel content, or if you're interested in one-on-one private coaching sessions, I offer all of that on Patreon. I also stream live on Twitch. Feel free to go ahead and click that link and follow and or subscribe there. I also have the Discord community, if you want to follow that link, where hundreds of duelists have already signed up. Free to join, and you can just come hang out, talk about the game, and chill in general. Final link that's going to be in the description is my Twitter. You can follow that if you want some more notifications of what's happening with the channel. So, all in all, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.